The massive interstellar cruiser Celestial Voyager hung above Earth's orbital station like a silver needle against the black velvet of space. Zara Williams gazed through the panoramic windows, her reflection staring back at her, dark eyes filled with determination, shoulders squared beneath her formal diplomatic uniform. The Blue Earth Alliance insignia gleamed on her lapel, marking her as humanity's first ambassador to the Galactic Council. Final boarding call for Flight GC 7734 to Proxima Station, announced a robotic voice. Zara took a deep breath. 7 billion humans were counting on her to represent them well. After decades of being the newcomers to galactic society, Earth had finally earned a seat at the Council. This journey would either cement humanity's place among the stars or confirm what many alien species already believed, that humans were simply too primitive to participate in galactic governance. She joined the boarding line, surrounded by beings from across the galaxy. A tall, crystalline Lumeri shifted its translucent body away from her, as if proximity to a human might contaminate it. A group of Taurians with their bull-like features snorted when they spotted her diplomatic credentials. "Watch yourself around the human," one rumbled to another. "I hear they still eat animal flesh." Zara kept her expression neutral, though her heart pounded. Her training had prepared her for this. Prejudice was to be expected. Earth was the newest member of the galactic community, and trust would take time. At the boarding gate, a Vexarian flight attendant processed passengers. The alien had 4 violet eyes set in a face with skin so thin it revealed the pulsing of blue veins beneath. When Zora presented her boarding chip, all 4 eyes narrowed simultaneously. "Destination?" the Vexarian asked, voice dripping with barely concealed disdain. "Proxima Station, continuing to Galactic Council headquarters," Zara answered calmly. The attendant scanned her credentials, then looked up with surprise. "First-class accommodation. There must be some mistake." "No mistake," Zara replied. "Earth Alliance diplomatic protocol." The Vexarian's skin flushed purple with contempt. "I see. How unexpected that humans would qualify for first-class seating. Your species hasn't even mastered basic stellar navigation without our technology." The attendant's voice had risen deliberately, causing several nearby alien dignitaries to turn. Mandibles clicked with amusement. A pair of meridians with their jellyfish-like appendages pulsed with light patterns that Zara recognized as their equivalent of laughter. Zara felt her cheeks burn, but kept her voice steady. "My credentials are valid and confirmed by Galactic Transit Authority." The attendant's mouth twisted into what passed for a smile among Vexarians. "Of course, Ambassador. We accommodate all species aboard the Celestial Voyager, even primitive ones. Perhaps you'll find our advanced systems educational during your journey." Zara stepped past the smirking attendant, her face carefully composed. This was exactly what her diplomatic trainers had warned about. The subtle and not so subtle reminders that humans were the galactic newcomers, barely out of their planetary cradle. She made her way down the boarding tunnel, aware of the stairs following her. Humans were still rare enough in deep space travel to attract attention, and a human ambassador was practically unheard of. The ship's interior was a marvel of alien engineering. Gravity plates allowed species from worlds of different masses to walk comfortably. The air was a carefully balanced mixture suitable for multiple forms of respiration. Zara followed the guidance system to her cabin in first class, trying not to appear too impressed by the luxury. Just as she settled into her adaptive seat, which morphed to accommodate her human physiology, a violent shudder ran through the ship. The lights flickered, then switched to an alarming red glow. "Warning," announced the ship's AI in multiple languages. "Spatial anomaly detected. All passengers return to designated safety positions." Another tremor, stronger than the first, sent several passengers stumbling. Through her window, Zara saw something impossible, a tear in space itself, pulsing with energies that shouldn't exist in normal space. Warning alarms blared throughout the ship. "Critical alert. All crew to emergency stations." The Vexarian flight attendant stumbled past Zora's cabin. Panic evident in all four eyes, no trace of superiority remaining. "The navigation system is failing," the alien cried to no one in particular. "We're being pulled off course." The ship lurched violently, and Zora grabbed the edge of her seat. Outside her window, stars streaked into lines as the massive vessel was dragged toward the spatial anomaly, a wormhole where no wormhole should be. In that moment, as fear spread through the ship, no one was paying attention to species differences anymore. Survival had suddenly become everyone's only concern. Chaos erupted throughout the celestial Voyager as the ship plunged into the unexpected wormhole. Passengers of all species were thrown from their seats despite safety harnesses. The artificial gravity fluctuated wildly. One moment everyone was floating, the next they were crushed to the floor with double force. Zara gripped her seat arms, forcing herself to remain calm while her mind raced. The neural implant at her temple, standard issue for Earth diplomats, began to glow with a soft blue light as she mentally accessed its emergency functions. Through her cabin window, she witnessed the impossible. Space itself had twisted into a tunnel of swirling energy, its walls pulsing with colors that human eyes were never meant to see. The ship trembled like a frightened animal as it was dragged deeper into the anomaly. "Structural integrity at 60%, announced the ship's AI, its normally smooth voice now fragmented. "Navigation systems offline. Communication systems offline." The cabin door slid open as the Vexarian flight attendant stumbled in, clinging to the wall for support. All four of her eyes were wide with panic, her once perfect uniform now torn and disheveled. "You need to return to your safety position," the attendant said automatically, though fear had replaced her earlier condescension. "What's happening?" Zara asked, remaining seated as another violent lurch shook the ship. "The captain says it's a Class 9 spatial anomaly. Uncharted. Unstable." The Vexarian's voice trembled. "The navigational AI can't compute a safe passage." The ship groaned like a dying beast. Overhead panels broke loose, crashing to the floor. From other cabins, Zora could hear screams and prayers in a dozen alien languages. "Does this ship have manual override capabilities?" Zara asked. The attendant stared at her. "Manual? No species pilots interstellar vessels manually anymore. That's primitive technology." "Sometimes primitive is exactly what you need," Zora said, rising from her seat. The neural implant at her temple pulsed brighter as she interfaced with it. "I need to get to the bridge." "Impossible. Only crew are permitted." "We're about to die," Zara interrupted. "I don't think ship protocols matter much now." The Vexarian hesitated, then nodded. "Follow me." They fought their way through the corridors, helping fallen passengers when they could. The ship's emergency lighting bathed everything in red, making the alien faces around them look even more foreign and frightened. The bridge was in disarray when they arrived. The captain, a tall meridian with tentacle-like appendages, floated near the ceiling, his control tendrils waving uselessly as gravity continued to malfunction. "What is this human doing here?" he demanded when he spotted Zora. "Sir, she says she can help," the attendant replied. The captain's skin flashed patterns of disbelief and anger. "Help? A human? Your species barely understands how our toilet facilities function." Zara ignored the insult and moved to the main navigation panel. Her neural implant glowed brighter as she placed her hand on the interface. "My implant can connect to your systems," she said. "I was a pilot during Earth's resource wars. 3 years in emergency extraction service. 7 crash landings, 0 casualties." The bridge crew stared in stunned silence as ship diagnostics suddenly began flowing across her neural display, visible to everyone on the main screen. The Vexarian's skin paled to a translucent white. "Impossible," the attendant whispered. "You understand our systems." "Humans are good at adapting," Zara replied, her eyes never leaving the controls. "Very good." Her fingers moved across the alien interface with surprising confidence, The neural implant translated the alien code into something her human brain could comprehend. "The wormhole is collapsing behind us," she announced. "We can't go back. Our only option is forward, but the ship's AI can't calculate a safe trajectory." "Because there isn't one," the captain snapped. "The variables are too complex. For an AI, maybe," Zara said. "But human pilots were flying by instinct long before computers existed." She closed her eyes for a moment, feeling the ship's movements through the interface. The neural implant hummed against her skin, processing data faster than any human mind could alone. "I need full control of the propulsion system," she said, "and divert emergency power to forward shields." The captain hesitated. "That's against all safety protocols." "So is dying in an unstable wormhole," Zara replied evenly. Finally, the captain nodded to his first officer. "Do as she says." As the controls unlocked, Zara became one with the ship. Her neural implant translated the alien technology into something her human brain could understand. She could feel the currents of the wormhole, the dangerous eddies, and the safer passages. "Hang on," she warned, and then guided the massive ship into a spiral pattern that no eye would have attempted. The ship groaned in protest, but followed her commands. "What are you doing?" the captain demanded. "Surfing," Zara replied, a small smile on her lips, something humans have always been good at. The wormhole spat the celestial Voyager out like a watermelon seed, hurling the massive ship into unknown space. Warning systems blared as the vessel stabilized, its engines humming back to normal operation. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing their new surroundings. Stars in unfamiliar patterns dotted the blackness. No recognizable navigational markers appeared on any sensors. "Location unknown," the ship's AI announced. "No reference points in navigational database." Zara stepped back from the control panel, her neural implant cooling as she disconnected from the ship's systems. The bridge crew stared at her with a mixture of awe and lingering suspicion. She had guided them through the wormhole when their advanced AI couldn't, a fact that clearly disturbed them. "How far from Proxima Station?" the captain asked his navigation officer. The Taurian officer shook his massive bull-like head. "Unknown, sir. These star patterns match nothing in our charts." "Scan for any nearby systems or stations," the captain ordered. The Vexarian flight attendant approached Zara while the crew worked. Her earlier contempt had vanished, replaced by a cautious respect. "That was unexpected," she said. "I've never seen anyone pilot manually through a spatial anomaly." "Sometimes the old ways work best," Zara replied. "Computers follow rules. Humans bend them." A sudden alarm cut through their conversation. The tactical officer's voice rang out, high with fear. "Captain, 5 vessels approaching at high speed." On the main screen, 5 sleek black ships appeared, moving in perfect formation. Their design was like nothing Zara had seen before, predatory, with forward sections that resembled bladed weapons. They bristled with what could only be offensive capabilities. "Identify," the captain demanded. The communications officer's tentacles trembled. No response to hails. "They're running with signature dampeners." An elderly Jorvian diplomat who had made his way to the bridge gasped loudly, his gray skin turning almost white. "Nocturne Collective," he whispered. "We're dead already." A collective shudder passed through the alien crew. Even the captain's color faded to a sickly pale blue. "Who are they?" Zara asked. "Pirate Coalition," the Jorvian explained, his voice shaking. "They operate in the uncharted regions. No survivors, ever." The captain slumped in his command chair. "The Nocturne take no prisoners," he said flatly. "They strip ships of all valuable technology, then scuttle them with all hands still aboard." "You're giving up without a fight?" Zara asked, disbelief in her voice. "Fight." The captain looked at her as if she had suggested breathing vacuum. "A celestial Voyager is a passenger liner, not a warship. We have minimal defenses and no offensive capabilities." "They haven't met humans yet," Zara said, studying the formation of the approaching ships on the tactical display. The neural implant at her temple began to glow again as she accessed ship schematics. She turned to the Vexarian attendant. "I need access to maintenance systems." "Maintenance? Why would that?" "Because you want to live." Zara cut her off. The main view screen flickered, then displayed the image of an alien unlike any aboard the Voyager. Its body was covered in overlapping scales of deep purple and black. A ridge of sharp protrusions ran from its forehead down its spine. Its eyes were yellow with vertical pupils that narrowed as it studied the bridge crew. "Attention vessel," the creature hissed, its voice translated by the ship's computers. "This is Commander Vexthar of the Nocturne Collective. Your ship is now our property. Prepare to be boarded. Resistance will result in immediate execution rather than our standard prolonged methods." The alien passengers and crew looked at each other in silent terror. The captain seemed frozen in his seat. Zara stepped forward, positioning herself directly in front of the view screen. "This is Ambassador Zara Williams of Earth," she said clearly. "We accept your challenge." The Nocturne commander's eyes widened slightly, the only indication of surprise on its reptilian features. "Earth, I am unfamiliar with this world," it said. "Your species is unknown to us." "Then today is your education," Zara replied. "Humans don't surrender easily." The commander's mouth opened, revealing rows of needle-like teeth. "Interesting. A new species with delusions of strength. This will be entertaining." The screen went dark. "What have you done?" the captain demanded. "You've doomed us to immediate destruction." "No," Zara said, turning to address the gathered aliens. "I've bought us time." She activated her neural implant again, pulling up the ship's internal schematics. "Every ship has systems that can be repurposed," she continued. "Maintenance drones, waste disposal, life support backups. Even a luxury liner can become a fortress if you think creatively enough." The Vexarian attendant stared at her. "You're going to fight the Nocturne. That's suicide." "Maybe," Zara admitted. "But where I come from, we have a saying. Humans don't go quietly. We rage against the dying of the light." She looked around at the frightened faces of the alien crew. "Now who's with me?" Zara raced through the ship's maintenance corridors, the Vexarian flight attendant struggling to keep pace behind her. Emergency lighting cast long shadows as they moved, giving the normally pristine passages an eerie quality. The distant sound of the Nocturne ships docking against the hull echoed through the metal walls. "The maintenance drones aren't weapons," the Vexarian protested, breathing heavily as they reached a control junction. "They're designed for repairs and cleaning." "Anything can be a weapon if you use it creatively," Zara replied, her neural implant glowing as she interfaced with the control panel. "What's your name?" "I can't keep calling you flight attendant if we're going to save this ship together." The alien hesitated, then said, "Mira. My designation is Mira." "Good to properly meet you, Mira," Zara said, fingers flying across the controls. "I need you to reroute emergency power to these sections." On the display, she highlighted 3 areas of the ship: the kitchen facilities, the waste processing plant, and the drone maintenance bay. "The pirates will be heading for the bridge and engineering first," she explained. "Standard takeover protocol." "How would you know pirate protocols?" Mira asked suspiciously. Zora's eyes remained fixed on the controls. Earth had its own pirates. Different context, same principles. Those who want to take something by force follow predictable patterns. Throughout the ship, passengers huddled in their quarters, following the captain's orders to lock their doors and not resist. The captain himself, along with his senior officers, waited on the bridge, preparing to surrender formal control of the vessel. But in the lower decks, Zara's plan was taking shape. Maintenance drones, normally used to repair hull damage, were being reprogrammed to swarm intruders. Kitchen appliances were being modified to create localized electromagnetic pulses that could disable the pirates' weapons. Waste processing chemicals were being combined to create smoke bombs and improvised explosives. "This is insane," Mira said, watching Zara work. "No other species would think to use cleaning supplies as weapons." "That's humanity's greatest strength," Zara replied. "We see possibilities where others see limitations." The ship shuddered as the Nocturne vessels completed their docking procedures. Over the ship's communication system, they heard the captain's voice, strained but dignified, informing all passengers that the ship was being boarded and that they should comply with the pirates' demands. "He's giving up," Mira said. "He's buying us time," Zora corrected, "and keeping the passengers from panicking." The first reports of boarders came minutes later. Security feeds showed the Nocturne pirates moving through the ship with military precision. They were tall, scaled humanoids, each armed with energy weapons and wearing light armor that seemed to shimmer as they moved. "They're heading for the engine room first," Zara noted, "just as I predicted." She activated the first phase of her plan. In the corridor leading to engineering, maintenance drones swarmed from their charging stations. Dozens of the small machines, each no bigger than a human hand, flew toward the advancing pirates. The Nocturne troops stopped, confused by the approaching cloud of mechanical devices. Their leader barked an order, and they raised their weapons. "Now," Zora whispered, activating the second phase. The drones exploded in a cascade of electrical discharges, creating a temporary electromagnetic pulse. The pirates' weapons went dead in their hands, their communication devices failed, and even their armor seemed to lose power. "The pulse is temporary," Zora told Mira. "We have about 3 minutes before their systems reset." Throughout the ship, similar scenes played out. Pirates who entered the kitchen areas were met with automated food dispensers that sprayed superheated cooking oil. Those who approached the cargo bay triggered improvised pressure plates that released collected waste gases, causing disorientation and nausea. "It's working," Mira said in amazement, watching the security feeds. "They're actually retreating in some sectors." "Not for long," Zora cautioned. "They'll adapt. Pirates always do." As if confirming her words, a new group of Nocturne troops appeared on the monitors, these wearing different armor and carrying backup weapons. "They've called in their elite forces," Mira said, her voice rising with fear. Zara nodded grimly. "I expected that. Time for Phase 3. She activated a ship-wide communication channel. "Attention all passengers and crew. This is Ambassador Williams. The Nocturne believe we are defenseless prey. It's time to show them that even prey can bite back. If you can hear this message, find something you can use as a weapon or barricade. Work together regardless of species. Remember, united we stand, divided we fall." Throughout the ship, passengers who had been cowering in fear began to move. A group of Taurians used their natural strength to barricade a main corridor. A family of Lumari created light-based illusions to confuse the pirates. Even the elderly Georgian diplomat was organizing a group to set up an infirmary for the injured. The Nocturne commander's voice broke into the ship's communication system. "Whoever is coordinating this resistance," it hissed, "know that you have only delayed the inevitable. I am coming for you personally." Zora looked at Mira, a determined smile on her face. "Good. That's exactly what I wanted." "You wanted their commander to hunt you down?" Mira asked incredulously. "No plan survives contact with the enemy," Zora said. "But every good plan includes a way to get the enemy exactly where you want them." She pointed to the ship's schematic, highlighting the galley section. "And I want their commander right here." The celestial Voyager limped through space, its once gleaming hull now scared and blackened from battle. 3 days had passed since their encounter with the Nocturne Collective. 3 days of emergency repairs, treating the injured, and coming to terms with what had happened. 3 days of aliens from across the galaxy looking at humans, specifically at Zara, with new eyes. In the galley section, where the final confrontation had occurred, Zara sat alone at a table, nursing a cup of synthesized coffee. The room still showed signs of the fierce battle, scorch marks on the walls, dented metal panels, repair drones working to fix ceiling fixtures. Mira entered, her Vexarian features still bearing faint bruises from the fighting, but her uniform once again immaculate. She sat across from Zara without waiting for an invitation. "The captain wishes to inform you that we will reach Proxima Station in approximately 6 hours," she said formally. Zara nodded. "Thank you. That's not why I came to find you," Mira continued, her 4 eyes fixed on Zara's face. "I wanted to ask you something about what happened in this room." Zara's gaze drifted to the corner where she had faced the Nocturne commander. The memory was still vivid, the scaled alien advancing on her, confident in its superior strength and weaponry, unaware of the trap she had set. "You could have killed him," Mira said. "You had the upper hand. The explosive charge you rigged would have eliminated him completely, yet you disabled it at the last moment. Why?" Zara set down her cup. "Because it wasn't necessary. We had already won. The other pirates were retreating to their ships. Killing their commander would have been excessive. No other species would have shown such restraint," Mira observed. "The Nocturnes certainly wouldn't have." "That's the difference," Zara said. "Humans understand that victory doesn't always require destruction. Sometimes mercy is the greater victory." The ship's communication system chimed. "All passengers, prepare for docking procedures at Proxima Station. Thank you for traveling with Galactic Transit." As they approached the station, word of their arrival had spread. The main viewing lounge was crowded with passengers and crew, all wanting to witness what would happen next. The story of how a small passenger liner had fought off the dreaded Nocturne Collective, something no military vessel had managed to do, had already been transmitted ahead. When they docked, a delegation was waiting. High-ranking officials from various species stood in formal arrangements, an honor guard that no one had expected for a simple diplomatic transport. The captain, who had been skeptical of Zora's leadership during the crisis, now insisted that she lead the disembarking party. As they stepped onto the station, cameras and recording devices captured every moment. Ambassador Williams, a tall Meridian official, greeted her, its tentacles arranged in the pattern of highest respect. "News of your actions has reached the council chambers. They are most eager to hear your account." Behind the officials, Zara could see ordinary citizens of all species gathered, watching with curious eyes. Among them were whispers and pointed fingers. The words human and earth were repeated often, no longer with dismissal, but with something approaching awe. The journey to the council headquarters took another day. By the time they arrived, the story had grown. Recordings from the ship's security feeds had been released, showing moments of the battle, particularly the final confrontation where Zara had faced down the Nocturne commander, speaking words that were now being repeated throughout the galaxy. "Humans don't seek conflict, but we don't shy from it. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. We stand against bullies and tyrants, and we judge victory not by how many we defeat, but by how many we save." The council chamber was a vast amphitheater, with representatives from hundreds of worlds seated in tiered sections. When Zara entered, a hush fell over the room. She walked to the center of the floor, suddenly aware of how small Earth's influence was among these ancient civilizations. The council leader, a being of pure energy contained in a specialized environment suit, spoke first. "Ambassador Williams of Earth, your actions aboard the celestial Voyager have caused us to reevaluate our understanding of your species." Zara stood straight, feeling the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. "I acted as any human would in that situation." "Precisely," the leader replied. "And that is what gives us both hope and concern. A species so young, yet so adaptive, so physically limited, yet so mentally resourceful, so numerically few, yet individually capable of such impact." Murmurs spread through the chamber. The seat offered to Earth was a courtesy. The leader continued, "A political gesture with little expectation of meaningful contribution. That assessment was an error." Before Zara could respond, a familiar figure approached from the side of the chamber. The Vexarian flight attendant, Mira, now dressed in formal diplomatic attire. Council leader, Mira announced, I have submitted my formal request to serve as liaison to Earth. I believe my personal experience with humans makes me uniquely qualified. Zara couldn't hide her surprise. Mira met her gaze. I once thought humans were primitive, Mira said, loud enough for all to hear. I was wrong. They see possibilities where we see limitations. They find strength and diversity where we seek conformity. They offer mercy where we would demand vengeance. She turned to face the entire council. I believe we have much to learn from Earth, and much to fear if we dismiss them again. As the council erupted in discussion, Zara felt a strange sense of peace. This had never been about proving human superiority. It had been about earning a place at the table, a chance for humanity to contribute its unique perspective to the galactic community. Welcome to the real journey, Mira said quietly as she joined Zara in the center of the floor. It begins today. Zara smiled and extended her hand, a human gesture of friendship that was now being studied throughout the galaxy. Welcome to the human experience, she replied. It's messy, complicated, and beautiful, just like the universe itself.